dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Kids are still getting their hands on harmful vaping and tobacco products. That's what lawmakers, health leaders, and even young people talked about in an interim legislative panel today in Frankfort. A law was passed last year to address some youth vaping issues, but lawmakers were told today they do not go far enough. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what was discussed.
Young people came to the state capitol to tell lawmakers that tougher anti-vaping laws are needed.
Many of my very talented friends started vaping in middle school and into high school, and over time, I not only watched them increase their use, but I watched as their health and athletic performance decline.
She says her friends may have lost chances at college scholarships.
It is disappointing to see young people, my friends, lose their future to nicotine dependence.
Senator Jimmy Higdon says he may file a bill to require licenses at retailers. He says House Bill 11 that dealt with youth vaping doesn't have consequences for the offenders.
A good tool to have is have that hanging over your head that if you continue to break the law, you're going to lose your license.
The Denton Group represents a number of vaping businesses, and a representative told Kentucky lawmakers today that the effects of House Bill 11 are already negatively impacting some of them.
She wants a delay in enforcement of the bill
and to allow time to create regulation which is based on science and help keep small businesses operating in the Commonwealth.
I just encourage you to take back to your clients that we probably wouldn't have a problem if they quit selling to underage kids.
Senator Higdon also says his bill could have consequences for students caught with vapes away from school campuses. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The proposed bill could be discussed in the legislative session that is set to begin January 7th. We're following a developing story tonight in Louisville. 2 Louisville Metro police officers are recovering after being shot. Police say the officers were making a stop on a stolen vehicle when they got into a struggle with a suspect over a gun. During the altercation, both officers and the suspect were shot. All 3 are reportedly in stable condition. Police say there is no ongoing danger to the public.
Well, for the most part, I hope you enjoyed today as the rain, even though it was in play, temperatures were in the 60s and 70s. Louisville made it to 72. We made it to 67 in Monticello, 68 in London, 67 Manchester. Hazard made it to 64. Then over towards Prestonsburg and Pikeville made it to 60 degrees. Here's a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar. A stray shower or two across portions of Pike County as well as portions of Letcher County. Other than that, that's it in terms of rainfall for the next several hours. Rain chances will pick back up, though, as we go into the morning hours of your Wednesday. Here's a look at your planner for the overnight hours. We're going to hover right around 61, 62 degrees. We'll see patchy fog throughout the overnight hours. And then by the noon hour, we'll go to 64 degrees. There's a caveat to that 64, though. We have a first alert weather day for Thursday and Friday as our first snowfall of the season is in the forecast. We'll talk about that coming up in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. In Lexington, the UK men's basketball team was back in action tonight, coming off its top 10 upset over Duke. WYMT Sports Director Armando Berry has more in our Big Blue coverage. Armando.
Hey, Steve. The Cats took care of business in their return to Rupp Arena tonight, taking on Lipscomb, one of the favorites to win the Atlantic Sun Conference, and it happened pretty quickly, jumping out 17-6 midway through the first half. Kerr Kriza hits Ansley Almanor, who's going to nail that right wing 3. Cats go ahead 20-6. But it was not just the offense. Kentucky held the Bison to 26.5% from the field in the first half because of plays like this, turning defense to offense really quickly here as Robinson buries that 3. He had 13 in the first half, and the team shot 61.5% from 3 as a team. Later, Lamont Butler stops and pops. He had 9 in the first half. One thing the Cats love to do on offense is create out of the post with Amari Williams. He just gets the ball moving until it finds a cutting Otega Owe, who gets the reverse to go for 2. 36-19 Cats at this point with a minute and a half left to go in the first half. Give and go action. Kriza steps back on him, and you know what happens next. He's going to hit that one. Kentucky goes on to win 97-68, and we're going to hear from the Cats after the win, along with some more DQ round ball previews a little bit later in sports. Steve?
All right, Armando, thank you. One Pike County coal mine is closing its operations soon, laying off 280 workers. Excel Mining recently provided its workers with warn notices saying the MC mining operation in Johns Creek will soon wrap up. The company's parent company, Alliance Resource Partners, announced the decision, citing a lack of demand, delays in payments, and geological issues. EKSIP officials say they hope to step in to find relief for those impacted by the loss of work.
You've got this many people, these families, they're directly affected the most. And from our perspective as the rapid response provider in the region, you know, we're focused on trying to do the most that we can to make sure that every resource possible is available to them, that they're able to get back on their feet and reemploy.
Find out more about the Kentucky Career Center job site locations on our website. Wolfe County School District employee Norman Sinners was arrested on school grounds Monday. Police were dispatched to Campton Elementary after reports of an upset person in the building. Police said Sinners was upset about an incident that happened during the weekend. Superintendent Kenny Bell says they did put the school on lockdown while police investigated.
At no time was any student or staff in danger, but out of an abundance of caution, you know, we secured the building, secured any belongings and vehicles of the person in question.
Sinners was taken to the Three Forks Regional Jail. He was charged with third-degree terroristic threatening and menacing. A Wayne County man is dead following a crash. The one-vehicle crash happened on Kentucky 92 in the Coopersville area of Wayne County yesterday. Officials with the sheriff's office say 28-year-old Dakota Barrier lost control of the vehicle he was driving and hit a tree. Barrier was pronounced dead at the scene. The Grinch may not be the only one trying to steal Christmas this holiday season. As we inch closer to the Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals we all know and love, officials with the Hazard Police Department want to remind you to keep your packages hidden to avoid porch pirates and car burglars.
Put them in your trunk, or at least have a blanket where you can cover them up so people can't see them. Try to keep your blinds closed. That way people can't look in there and see obviously what all you have in there. Make sure your doors are locked, your alarm's activated. If you see something that seems out of the ordinary, call us so we can go check it out.
Holbrook says if you know you have multiple packages arriving, ask a neighbor to look out for your boxes. A Harlan County native living in Chicago is giving back to her community. Sharon Davis Angel is awarding 10 scholarships to Harlan County High School seniors that will cover 1/3 of their tuition and is renewable for 4 years. Angel says she's grateful to be in the position to give back to folks in her hometown.
I do think of that as home. You know, I've lived in Chicago for 40 years, but that's still my people. And when I got in a position that I could send money back in.
The recipients of the scholarship have not been chosen yet. Angel says the plan is to distribute the funds to all 10 students next fall. Federal Emergency Management Agency Administrator Deanne Criswell was grilled on Capitol Hill today by Kentucky Congressman James Comer and others after an agency worker said she was told to avoid homes with Trump signs during hurricane disaster relief efforts this fall. WYMT Washington correspondent Stetson Miller tells us more.
FEMA's director faced intense scrutiny in Washington on Tuesday after revelations came out that one employee told her hurricane disaster relief team to bypass homes with yard signs supporting President-elect Donald Trump this fall.
This official ordered employees to discriminate against vulnerable Americans affected by a hurricane when they needed assistance the most.
Administrator Deanne Criswell said the employee was fired after she is said to have sent this text message advising workers, quote, to avoid homes advertising Trump and skipped 20 homes. She also said the evidence so far shows that this was an isolated incident, but House Republicans at this hearing wanted to dig deeper after the now fired employee said in multiple TV interviews that that wasn't the case.
She said it's common practice. You said it's reprehensible and isolated. Both statements can't be true. So someone's not giving us the facts, and I'm kind of trying to figure out who's not telling the truth.
The actions that Ms. Washington took were unacceptable.
Chris Wells said the incident was a clear violation of FEMA's core values and encouraged the agency's inspector general to review whether the former employee was acting alone.
Why should we believe this is an isolated incident?
Chairman, I understand your concern and I share your concern because I want to ensure that the American people know that FEMA is there to support all people, which is why we are conducting an investigation and why we have asked the IG to look into this further.
And Congress is expected to consider additional disaster relief funding for FEMA and other agencies in the coming weeks. In Washington, I'm Stetson Miller.